Hello everyone, I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about a couple of reports today. First, that the New York Yankees are interested in acquiring right-handed relief pitcher Jake Bird, according to Brendan Cuddy of The Athletic. We're going to talk about his profile, break down his pitch mix, talk about why he could be a great fit for the Yankees, and next, we're going to talk about Joel Sherman's report about the Yankees looking for a right-handed hitter, preferably someone who can play shortstop. Before we get into everything, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell to check out Fireside Yankees on all of your favorite social media platforms. And without further ado, let's get into today's video. Roll the intro clip. Alright, so let's start talking about Jake Bird first. Jake Bird this season has a 4.05 ERA and a 3.09 FIP, and while people are going to look at that ERA and say they want nothing to do with Bird, that ERA is very misleading. First and foremost, he is a pitcher for the Rockies, so he spends half of his games at Coors Field. That means that his average ERA, or the average ERA for a pitcher who would play for the Rockies, is much higher than the league average. When adjusting for that fact, Jake Bird's ERA is above the Major League average by 13% on Fangraphs and 16% on Baseball Reference. You might go, why is there a discrepancy there? They have different calculations for how they adjust for run environment and league environment, and I'm mentioning both because some might be more familiar with Fangraphs ERA minus, and some might be more familiar or favor Baseball Reference's ERA plus. Whichever one you look at, Jake Bird's ERA is better than the league average by over 10%. His FIP suggests he should be even better than his ERA thinks, and that's very important because that means that ERA should be closer to the low threes. That would make him around a 2 ERA or 2.5 to upper 2 ERA pitcher in somewhere like Yankee Stadium where it's a more neutral run environment. In my opinion, Jake Bird brings the swing and miss stuff and the ground ball abilities that the Yankees should be targeting at this year's trade deadline. He's striking out nearly 27% of batters faced with a 48% ground ball rate. He limits damage contact very well. Batters have done a better job of barreling him as of late, but we're going to talk about some of the adjustments he can make to get even better in that regard. He has a dominant, and I mean dominant sweeper and an even more dominant curveball, and I think there's some upside here with the cutter that hasn't really worked for him in the last few years, and really just ways that he can improve his profile away from Coors Field. The first thing that I look at is pitch movement. Pitch movement is worsened by the effects of Coors Field, that higher elevation. It makes it a lot harder for pitchers to generate positive spin on these baseballs and generate the movement they're looking for. When you look at his sinker in particular, his sinker gains 2.6 inches of arm side movement away from Coors Field, and his curveball generates even more drop and 2 more inches of movement away from righties and into lefties away from Coors Field. Now, his sweeper actually loses some movement when he's pitching away from Coors Field, and I wonder if that's because his grip or because of the way he spins his sweeper. I wonder if there are ways to improve it, although I will say the sweeper shape he has away from Coors Field is a lot more unique. It has 7.4 inches of vertical ride, and that improved vertical ride makes it more of a hand of God slider, which is really, really devastating. But again, it's a different pitch shape. These pitch shapes are different, and that's kind of causing these dramatic home road splits. He's pitching one way at home, and it's working for him at home, but it's not working for him on the road because he's pitching with the shapes he has in mind at home, and he doesn't really know how to adjust that. There's really no way to work around that. There's no way to adjust for the fact that your pitches move one way in Coors and another way on the road, and pitching in a more neutral environment like Yankee Stadium may allow him to have that consistent movement on all of his pitches and give him a better understanding of what to do with them. The Rockies are also not known for being a very forward-thinking organization, and in my humble opinion, the Yankees would make a lot more out of Jake Bird than the Rockies would, and I also think whoever the Yankees send over to Colorado would not really pan out the way that they would with the Yankees. I think there are exceptions. I don't think every prospect who goes to the Rockies is bad per se. It's more so to say that I think the Yankees do a better job with players than the Rockies do. That's not something that I think should be a controversial opinion. The Rockies are an organization, though, that does have a valuable player here in Jake Bird, and I wonder how they would treat his market, whether they would actually entertain trading him, whether they would listen to trade offers, and whether they would actually execute a deal, seeing that they're absolutely atrocious this year and have gotten worse from years past. Now, one of the players who I believe the New York Yankees would have really done a great job with was Clay Holmes, and he had that sinker sweeper profile that worked really well, but it wasn't really from the same arm angle. It was very over the top. I don't think that's the fair comparison. The guy I would profile as a similar player to someone like Jake Bird would be Jake Cousins, whom the Yankees have done a really good job of developing. Jake Cousins has become a really strong arm for them, although unfortunately he had to undergo Tommy John surgery, but he had that similar lower arm angle release, sidewinder, submarine-ish, sinker sweeper profile that worked really well for him. So I think the Yankees have done a good job with their sinker sweeper guys, and that they would be able to get a lot more out of this profile again. These kind of similar profiles of funky arm angles are just really hard to find. You're trying to be unique in your bullpen, and the Yankees, funnily enough, don't have that like submarine sinker sweeper profile in their bullpen. They have Loaizaga, who's a sinker pitcher, but he doesn't have a sweeper, and his arm angle is higher than Jake Bird's by a considerable amount. Brubaker doesn't profile like that. I guess Yeri De Los Santos, but he doesn't have a sweeper. Hamilton also has a sinker, but doesn't have a sweeper. And Tim Hill, he's a lefty, so he doesn't really count in this as well. Bird is a different look from their bullpen, and I don't think the price of acquisition will be too crazy. He's a free agent after 2028, so you have 2025, 2026, 2027, and 2028 with him. 3.5 years of control. That's really notable here. So I think you're getting a notable upgrade in your bullpen, a good strikeout arm, a good guy at limiting damage contact, and someone who helps your bullpen immediately, not just for 2025, but for the foreseeable future. At the age of 29, you're probably going to get him in his peak years, and then he's going to hit free agency when I believe he's 33 or 32. So you get those nice peak years there. You don't get the decline years, the ugly years, where the fastball velocity is gone. Now, looking at the other report that Joel Sherman had from the New York Post, the Yankees are looking at a right-handed hitter who can play shortstop. And we're going to talk about some of those players right here. The Yankees are still looking at batters despite wanting to get pitchers. They want to go get pitchers. Sherman reported that. We reported that here at EmpireSportsMedia.com, that pitching is the number one thing for the Yankees right now. And I'm also going to just say this whenever I say I'm also reporting this. That's so obvious. Like, I'm not gonna go, oh man, I nailed that take. The Yankees are looking for pitching. Their bullpen stinks. No, duh. Like, that one's pretty obvious. And I apologize if that's coming off as a brag job. It's not. But Joel Sherman is reporting that the Yankees are looking for right-handed hitting as well. They talked to the Rays about Ha-Seong Kim, Jose Caballero, and Taylor Walls. And while the Rays are still kind of looking to buy and sell a little bit, we're kind of seeing what they do there. The Yankees could maybe acquire someone like that. They also like Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and they also like someone like Willie Castro. Now, they're also linked to David Hamilton, which is a little bit weird because Hamilton is left-handed. But they bring speed and they can play shortstop. I don't know if the Yankees are going to end up acquiring someone like Willie Castro at this year's deadline, but I would personally love that. Sherman really kind of waxes poetic about Sherman as Castro as someone they've really liked for a while, and they may pair him with a reliever. So you can look at Danny Collum, Louis Varland, Yohan Duran, Griffin Jacks. Those are all players who could help the Yankees. And furthermore, it gives them more versatility. I think they believe that they might have more catching depth than what they currently have, like JC Escara, Ben Rice. Is that a conundrum? Should they be having both on the roster? Can they trade one or move him down? We'll see. And it would also give the Yankees the ability to kind of have two righties in the lineup with Castro and someone like Ahmed Rosario instead of just one with Rosario in there, perhaps sitting McMahon and sitting one of their outfielders. I know the Yankees don't really think Jason Dominguez against lefties is a matchup they like. They might want to get more right-handed hitting depth. Look, the Yankees are going to go out and be aggressive. I know that there's been some reporting about the Yankees being a team that would want to potentially sell, but I think Andy Martino cited that as a situation in which the Yankees had lost Aaron Judge for the season. My understanding of the situation is the Yankees are still going to go out and get better. They're going to try and get arms. They're going to try and improve their roster, and I believe the Yankees are going to be able to, put up some pretty interesting trades. I don't know what they're going to go out and get. I don't know who they're going to go out and get. I don't know what exactly that looks like, but I think the Yankees are going to be in a situation where we're looking at multiple, and I truly mean multiple additions before the end of this year's trade deadline. But that'll wrap up kind of what's going on here with the New York Yankees. I think that they are going to get more. I think that relievers is going to be their priority. They might get a starter. We'll see. And that they might add someone to put in there on their bench, someone who can be a right-handed hitter for them and really bolster that offense. I would personally love Ha-Seong Kim. I've loved Ha-Seong Kim for a while. I would also love Willie Castro, but we'll wait and see. My name is Ryan Garcia. We appreciate you guys being here and checking out today's video, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and peace out.